Hello everyone, Tina here. I hope your day is going wonderful. Thank you so much for joining me. Well, I'm here for Pretty Pink Posh today and using one of the brand new stamp sets over the shop. It's part of their fall release. It's called Falling Leaves. And the Falling Leaves stamp set does have a coordinating die set, but it also has a coordinating stencil. So nice. So it makes coloring in your images easy if you want to ink blend. So that's what we're going to do today. Your index here on your stamp has numbers on it, and those numbers coordinate with the numbers that are etched inside your stencil. So 1 on the stencil would be 1 on the index of your stamp. So you know exactly which leaf is which. I know sometimes it gets a little confusing with a stamp full of leaves, so it's nice having a number that you can match them up to. So let's do some stamping. I'm bringing in my Misty. Since we're doing ink blending, I'm trimmed down some Bristol Smooth cardstock into A2 size panel. We're going to use 2 panels. I'm going to use my tape runner to adhere that to my Misty here, making sure it's in the corner real good. And then we will ink up our leaves with, I like to use golds usually during the fall, but I thought we would shake it up and do some silver embossing, so that's what we're going to do. I grabbed the leaves I'm going to use. I can actually tell you which ones I'm going to use because they're numbered. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So we're covering those with some silver embossing powder. Now you could use Versamark and silver embossing powder, but I like to use VersaFine. This way I know exactly where I'm adding embossing powder to, and I can see what I'm doing. I think the VersaFine Onyx Black ink does dull down the color a little bit, but I don't mind that. So a little tip, if you want to know where you're adding embossing powder to over your Versamark ink, use your VersaFine over your gold and silvers. Okay, let's go ahead and do some ink blending. I added pixie spray behind my stencil, but I'm going to hold it down just in case. And I thought we would do a little blending with some softer tones for fall and different tones. We're going to start off with our gray Distress Oxide ink. This is Weathered Wood, and I'm just using my finger daubers to add a little color. I did want to do a little shading, and I'm using my Black Soot finger dauber. The ink that's left on there is plenty of ink to do a little shading with that Weathered Wood ink. I'm going to do the same thing to my second panel. Once you do one, it's pretty quick. And then I'm going to do one more leaf. We're going to do the leaf on the very bottom, and we'll do the same color for this one. Kind of doing some non-traditional colors too. Since we're going outside the box and not using gold embossing powder, I thought let's shake up the color palette a little bit for this card. Okay, I'm going to do the same thing to my second panel, and then we're going to work on our next color combo. Light color we're shading with Spun Sugar, and then I'll do a little bit of highlighting with Victorian Velvet. Those two are really pretty color combinations. And I did the next 2 leaves on my panel here. Okay, our next color combination is going to be in the yellow family. I have Scattered Straw as my lighter ink, and then we're going to do a little bit of shading with our Fossilized Amber. And we're going to go over 2 of these leaves here too. We'll go over this next one, and then the one right next to that also. So pretty easy with the stencil. I love that. Okay. And I'm wiping off my stencil, guys, in between each color so my colors don't blend. And we'll add our Scattered Straw and a little bit of Fossilized Amber. Kind of very non-traditional fall. Well, the yellow's not, but the gray and the pink. But our next color, we are going to go with a traditional color. We'll go with the green family. I have Shabby Shutters. That will be our light ink. We're going to go over our last 2 leaves here, and we'll do a little shading with Peeled Paint. Those two go really well together. We have one more leaf on the bottom, and we'll do that one. They're kind of doubling it up. And again, we're doing 2 sets of these, so I thought today's card it would be very nice to have a colorful leaf background. So we want plenty of leaves to create a background with. And I'm just going to continue with my second panel, and then we have 2 panels filled with leaves. Next, we'll take the coordinating dies. I'll separate them with my my die nippers here. We'll just line them up and then run all of these through our die cutting machine. So we have a handful of beautiful colored flowers. Just punch these out and we are good to go. That does leave a little bit of a white border, and I like that. It creates a little bit of a softness. Okay, now we're going to stamp our sentiment. For my sentiment today, in the stamp set there is greetings and blessings. They're both in a block font, and then there's autumn that's in the larger font, and in the die set you can die cut out the word autumn. So we'll stamp that with some VersaFine ink, and then we'll stamp, I'm going to use the word blessings, and we'll stamp that right below it. I'll die cut out the word autumn, and then I'll block off the word blessing. Now I'm stamping again with VersaFine ink, and then this way we can go over it with that same silver embossing powder. That's the nice thing about your VersaFine ink, it stays sticky, so you can add embossing powder over it. Once I heat set those, I did die cut it out and trimmed out my blessings, and then now all we have to do is create a background. I'm actually creating a background on a panel that measures 4 inches by 5 1/4. It's going to leave me a little bit of a white border on my card base. Kind of coordinates with the white border around my leaves. And I'm just arranging the leaves. When I do one row on top, I'll flip them around and do another row on the bottom the same exact way. And this just helps fill it in more even and balanced. And the cardstock that I'm using is a very pale gray. It's kind of hard to tell on camera, but it's I think the gray just goes really well with the leaf colors. And those corner leaves have to be turned a little bit. Let's fix those. And I think I'm happy with this. Now I do want to bring in my corner rounder, and I'm going to use the 1/2 inch side, and we're going to round all of these corners to kind of create a rounded corner rectangle. We'll just chop these. Okay, next I'm going to bring in my card base, which is a standard A2 size card base. We're going to add a little adhesive behind our panel, and we're going to go ahead and corner round our card base also. So using that same 1/4 inch side of my corner rounder, we'll do this all of these corners so it coordinates. Sometimes I like to shake it up a bit with the corners too. Next, we'll adhere our panel. It kind of looks like they're floating on there. I really like that. I'm going to go ahead and use my scissors. We're going to angle off the left end of our blessing sentiment. I'm going to go ahead and add some tape behind it, and then we'll place this on the lower, about 1 inch up from the bottom of our card base. I'm going to trim off the excess here, and I need to add a small piece of foam adhesive behind that end. It's kind of floating there. Just to add a little stability, we'll trim down a smaller piece of foam adhesive, and then that's good to go. I'm going to add some foam adhesive behind my autumn and place it right above the blessing. And I'm loving the way this turned out. Next, all we need is some bells and whistles. I'm going to bring in some sparkle. We're going to use the Pretty Pink Posh Sparkling Clear Jewels, and we're going to add quite a few. I loved the neutral color of the Sparkling Clear Jewels, and we're going to add those quite a few to each area around our leaves. And then that finishes off my project today, guys, for Pretty Pink Posh. If you haven't had a chance to check out the September release, I think you guys are going to be very excited. It is fabulous. I thank you so much for joining me. I wish you all a fabulous day. Thank you so much for stopping by. We will see you again real soon. Bye-bye.